Welcome to the Daily Transfer Show. I'm your host Miles. I'm joined here by our chief correspondent Peter. We're going to be kicking off straight in with a big talking point in the last 24 hours, which is Manchester United's surprise bid for Alexis Sanchez, which came out of the blue, didn't it?
Certainly did, and there's two ways of looking at this. Either Man United really want Alexis, or there's a bit of mischief making on the part of Jose Mourinho, and he's trying to make it as hard as possible for Arsenal to sell Alexis to Man City. Whether that comes in an increased wage offer to make Alexis think twice about where he wants to go, or if it just means denying Man City a really good player. So,
but logically, I mean, if you were Manchester United, I mean, this is a late bid that's come out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah,
but he could do a job in that team, couldn't he?
Well, he could do a job in any team. He's a really good player. Is he the type of player that Man United needs? Well, he would inject a bit of pace and a bit of work rate into the forward positions. That's for sure. But the information that we have, that Sam Lee has, our Man City correspondent has, is that he's got his heart set on a move to Man City, whatever the price, whatever the wage. He wants to win trophies. He's 29 years of age now, and he wants to work with Pep Guardiola. So whether United's sensationally large offer, wage offer for Alexis Sanchez is enough to turn his head, well, that remains to be seen.
If you were Man City at this point and Arsenal are asking for 35 million quid, and you value him more like 20 to 25 million with 6 months left on the contract, would you just pay that 35 million just to avoid what could end up being a frenzy in the summer?
Well, it's easy for Man City because they've gorged themselves on the mineral wealth of Abu Dhabi for so long now that it makes no difference if it's 20 million or 35 million. It's not their money they're spending, they don't care. And as we've seen with FFP, it's the punishments are so toothless at this stage that it's rendered it non-existent. So 20, 35, I mean, you may as well be playing with Football Manager money. You know, do you regret spending 35 million on Football Manager? You probably don't. So Pep Guardiola wouldn't regret spending 35 million on any player for Man City because it's monopoly money. It doesn't matter. However, you know, they do not want to set a precedent on the wage, is what I would expect.
Alexis' wage.
Yes, because that's where it's going to make a difference. Because if Alexis comes into the club on the sums that have been discussed, some £400,000 per week, which is the offer that Man United have put in allegedly, and if Man City have to match that, then he'll be comfortably Man City's highest paid player. And the way we understand the Man City contracts is that they're highly incentivised. For example, if Kevin De Bruyne signs this new contract that Sam's been doing great work on Man City, by the way. Follow Sam on all his social channels. He's got the inside line. He's a really good journalist. But Sam says that the new contract for Kevin De Bruyne could be worth up to €420,000 per week. But that's if all incentives are met. Plus, that's if the bonuses are triggered, including the Ballon d'Or.
Incentives like winning the league.
That kind of thing, yeah. So the base wage will get nowhere near what Alexis Sanchez has been offered at Man United. Plus, you have that signing on fee as well that they're talking about. You know, if he goes as a free transfer in the summer, you're talking about a 15 to 20 million signing on fee. And if he moves in the winter, he's not entitled to that, but you know, there's some reports out there that Man United are going to give that to him anyway. So it could complicate the bid, but if Alexis is clear on what he wants, then there shouldn't be a problem for Man City. Yeah.
Let us know in the comment section who you think Alexis Sanchez should join, whether it should be Man City, whether it should be Man United, PSG, or
Bayern, Chelsea.
Or if he should stay at Arsenal. You know, I know lots of Arsenal fans out there would love to keep him if they can.
Well, the only problem with that is you think that, you know, if he's already mentally checked out, you know, what do his teammates think of him? We had that problem against Liverpool, wasn't it, where they got smashed up. And Alexis was on the bench for causing a bit of trouble in training.
Yeah.
So
that was like a year ago now.
Yeah, we're getting on for that was last season. Yeah. So, you know, if incidents like that are manifest themselves in the dressing room, and over the Christmas period they weren't celebrating with him in the Crystal Palace game, and there was also reports that Koscielny and one or two more had a go at him
in the dressing room.
The dressing room. So you think if there's a fracture like that already existing in the dressing room, to hold on to him for another 6 months when everybody's psychologically prepared for him to go now, well, you know, that could make everybody a little bit more fed up.
Speaking of another player that Manchester United and Man City are interested in, and Arsenal actually, is Malcom Winger Bordeaux.
Malcom in the middle of a transfer tug of war. You like that?
Very good.
Malcom in the Middle, for our younger viewers, was a TV show
in the 90s,
20 years ago. It was about a boy who's probably 50 now.
It had Walter White in from Breaking Bad.
Is that right? Yeah. I never actually watched it.
You never watched it? You just know the name.
I know the name and I know the
How
theme
did you not know it had Hallen? He's the one that's in can't really act his name now. He's in
Why?
Breaking Bad.
I've never seen Breaking Bad either.
You've never seen Breaking Bad?
No.
God, this could go off on a right tangent here.
And we were just looking for a new TV show for me yesterday, and I've never seen Breaking Bad.
Anyway, back to Malcom.
Yeah.
Wenger spoke earlier this morning, essentially about whether it's realistic that they'll sign Malcom in this transfer window, because there has been a lot of talk about the possibility of it. And he said that Malcom is a good player, but at the moment there's nothing happening. We are not on that case at the moment.
Yes.
Take it with a pinch of salt.
Deflection.
Yeah.
I think it's deflection. You know, I was just thinking about this on the way in this morning, actually, is that, you know, once upon a time Arsenal were really good at selling their players for, well, their fans might disagree, but if they did sell a player at a high price, they would generally get a fairly decent replacement in for lower. But as we've seen what Neymar did to the transfer market, this has inverted the whole thing. If somebody sells an important player, well, the price of the replacements just shoot up all around. So if Bordeaux get wind of a public comment about Malcom, the price goes up. Yeah, and at the moment we think Arsenal they're looking to get Malcom for around the 30 to 40 million mark, but Bordeaux, if they're going to sell in the winter, they want to sell him for more like 55 to 60, which, you know, not to get too nostalgic about the old days, but it's hard to see where the value is in the market at the minute.
Yeah. Okay, so another player that Manchester United have been pushing to sign, perhaps more realistically than Alexis Sanchez, is Lucas Moura. So our Manchester United correspondent Chris Folkes reveals all.
So Manchester United are showing interest once more in Lucas Moura. Of course, this isn't the first time. They were after him in 2012 when he was still at Sao Paulo. Eventually, PSG outbid them with an offer of around £45 million. But he's not playing for PSG at the moment. He's only featured in about 79 minutes of Ligue 1 football this season. The good thing for United is he's not played in the Champions League. So if they were to come in for him in January, then he wouldn't be cup-tied for the Champions League campaign. The problem here, of course, though, is that he hasn't played in the last 5 or 6 months. United would be taking on a player who wouldn't be up to full match speed. It'd take him a little while to get back into the flow of things. In the positive sense, they have got the remainder of January and early February before their next really crucial game, which of course is in Seville against Sevilla in the Champions League. They don't really have to go full throttle in the Premier League because they're so far behind Manchester City. They won't want to drop out of the top 4 though. So there's a period where if they're trying to blood him into the side, it could be a positive, could be a negative. They could wait until the summer, of course. So that would leave him with just 12 months left on his deal at PSG. It would allow United to potentially go in for him with an even cheaper bid than the one that they're looking for, around £25 million. So there's 2 options there. Go for him now and use some time to blood him in and actually use him in the Champions League. That would suit the player and his agent who want him back playing football before the World Cup. Or they could wait until the summer, try to get him a little bit cheaper and give him the full summer to really come to terms with Manchester United football and get him raring to go for the start of next season.
Okay, so that's what Chris Folkes has about Lucas Moura. You're a big fan of Lucas, aren't you? You think
I like
he'd
him,
do a job for Man United team?
Yeah, I think he's just stuck in the mud a little bit, Lucas. I think that if he was given consistent trust by a manager and a sort of clear brief on what he has to do week to week, then I think he would establish himself again as a peer of Neymar, which he came through as. But it's just that, you know, Neymar went to a better club, worked out better for him. Now he's a far superior player than Lucas, but it has to be, remember when they came through together, it was Lucas and Neymar. It wasn't just Neymar and a few other kids around him.
Yeah.
You know, he was that highly regarded as a teenager and into his early 20s. But the problem is once he gets a chance, I think Chris said he's played 80 minutes of league football this season.
72 minutes. Yeah.
You know, how can he be prepared for starting matches, and what does it do to a fella psychologically that when he knows he's not going to be in the team no matter what he does, if he plays well in the cup game, the Coupe de la Ligue, whatever, he's not going to get back in the team. So I think he just needs that trust. And maybe he's regretting the fact that, you know, 6 years ago he chose PSG in the first place over Man United.
So €40 million, you reckon that would
great?
be
I think that's a great
purchase?
deal. Yeah. In this market, I think to get, you know, an established international player from a European rival for anything less than 50-60 million pounds is probably a good deal. So 40 million for me.
We've talked a little bit about where Lucas Moura would fit in on previous shows. For those who didn't see, where do you see him slotting into the Man United team?
I see him. I think they're probably in more need of a natural right-sided winger than they are for any other player. Because I think on the left-hand side, although I don't like Martial and Rashford playing there, I prefer them to play up front. They do sort of, you know, they get goals from that side of the pitch. And Lingard seems to have established himself as the number 10. which means that on the right hand side, I think they do struggle for that natural width because Mata isn't that player. Mkhitaryan is yesterday's news as far as Mourinho's concerned. Yeah. So I do think that they need some proper wingers, some natural width on the right hand side. You slot right in there.
It's funny how Mkhitaryan has just completely fallen out of favour, isn't it? I mean, at the start of the season, he was a darling, he was assisting, he was doing well, then just completely.
Yeah, it was funny. The same thing happened last season where he disappeared for 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't think Mourinho ever fancied him really, and he's always looking for maybe the slightest excuse to leave him out of the team. And there's been rumours that things have happened backstage at Man United that Mourinho hasn't been too impressed with Mkhitaryan. The extent of those, whether it's just a football issue, I couldn't possibly speculate. But I guess that's another one that's going to be resolved one way or another. He'd probably leave either in winter or summer transfer window. The Mkhitaryan experiment over.
Yeah, it's a lot of talk about Serie A potentially.
Yeah, Inter was mooted with João Mario maybe coming the other way. A lot of paper talk there. I think there's some convenient transfer structures going along. I'd be very surprised to see Mkhitaryan and João Mario swap places in this transfer window.
So elsewhere in the Premier League, obviously Liverpool are looking to bolster up their team in the absence of Philippe Coutinho, who joined Barcelona, of course, for 160 million euros plus incentives. So apparently they're looking to bring in Naby Keita 6 months early.
Yes.
Which is a bit of a surprise. I think the intention, based on Melissa Reddy's information, our Liverpool correspondent, was always so that he'd spend the entire year on loan, but it seems they want to bring him in early. Yeah,
and the public pronouncements from Red Bull in the last couple of days have been, maybe trying to throw a spanner in the works a little bit. But, there's no doubt from Melissa's information that Liverpool and Red Bull are officially in contact about this and working about it behind the scenes, despite what Hez and Hootel or whoever else says at Red Bull. So the idea is to advance Liverpool's cause for a Champions League place by paying another 15 million or so to advance the deal by 6 months. Yeah. So it would take the transfer fee closer to what they paid for Virgil van Dijk, which is big money, and 15 million gamble for a 6 month loan deal is what effectively amounts to a 6 month loan deal.
But I mean, unlike Lucas Moura, who we were just talking about, he has got that match fitness of having played all season.
Yeah, and he's playing well, And there's a few things that have gone against Keita in Germany this season. He's been sent off a few times in 2017. And,
he feels like he's been really unfairly treated.
Yeah, he's been unfairly... Yeah, he feels that, and maybe he's looking forward to... Well, I'm sure he is looking forward to getting a fresh start at Liverpool. But, again, is he ready? I mean, there's a lot of things to consider in a transfer. Moving house and uprooting your life, and, he would have prepared for that in the summer.
Mentally, yeah.
Yeah, so whether he's ready for that move... At this stage, who knows? But, again... Stay tuned. Follow Mel on Twitter for sure, and she'll have all the news for you between now and the end of the window.
Yeah, let us know if you think it makes sense for Liverpool to dip in for Naby Keita. For me, it makes perfect sense because you're essentially paying maybe 10 to 15 million more to get a proven quality midfielder to fill that void which has suddenly got, appeared.
Well, I keep saying it, and and not many people agree with me, but I think if Lallana can stay fit, I think Lallana can do a job there for Liverpool until the end of the season at least.
So we're going to read out some of your user comments now. Thank you for everyone who's commented on Facebook during the show. We have one from Elvis Freeman saying, "Finger out." No surprise there. I swear we get one of them every single
You see it everywhere. You see it at WrestleMania. You see it in Zimbabwe at the Mugabe protests. It pops
Tour
up.
de France.
Tour de France.
The Ashes.
It gets
around, it's around the world. It's a global phenomenon, really, isn't it? So we have a comment here from Afalemi who says, Alexis is a good bargain for United. I don't think he will get regular football at City.
Well, you might look at the price tag of 25 to 35 million and call it a bargain, but by the time the wage and the signing on fee is factored in, it's going to be another 100 million pound. Yeah. For a 29-year-old as well, it's one thing putting this sort of money down for a player like Keita, who's 22, but it's another thing altogether putting it down for a 29-year-old, and you've got no guarantee that he's going to be effective this season, like next season as he was this. It's a risky age to take players in.
I don't necessarily agree with that as well, because I think he will get regular football at City. I think that, unlike Aguero, who, as we've discussed before, doesn't seem to be fully trusted by Pep Guardiola, Alexis does seem like he is someone who Pep really does want.
Yeah, I know. If you ask the man in the street, me included, who would you prefer, Alexis or Aguero, if you had a free choice? I think most people would take Aguero, but for this system that Guardiola is implementing, there's no doubt in his mind that Alexis Sanchez is a better fit. So I don't think he'd be playing from the left, I don't think he'd be playing in behind, I don't think he'd be playing on the right, he'd be playing up front and starting the press from there. So it would be a direct replacement, Aguero for Sanchez. Now, if I were Arsene Wenger...
If you were Wenger...
If I were Arsene Wenger, I'd be I'd be a much richer man than I am, that's for sure. However, I think I would try and test City's case and say, you know what, don't want a transfer fee, don't want anything from you, just give us Aguero, we'll give you Sanchez, and that's enough.
I bet Arsenal fans will love that. If you're an Arsenal fan, let us know if that's something that you like.
Yeah, and this is not something that I have any information on, don't get me wrong.
I'm just saying that it would... fantasy world.
Yeah, because Aguero's gone in the summer anyway, let's be honest. And where's he going to go? Maybe to Real Madrid? But again, they're going to look into fresh things up, and their transfer policy over the last few years has been buying young Spanish guys. I mean, they played the other night with 10 Spanish players in the Cup, which is unheard of for Real Madrid. And 10 young Spanish players at that. So, I think maybe... they'll try and get a Galactico in the summer.
Maybe.
But is Aguero at that Galactico level for Real Madrid? I'm not so sure. Plus, he's got the Atletico connection from all those years ago. So, yeah, if I were Arsenal's, new head of recruitment, then maybe I would put a phone call in and say, give us Aguero, give you Sanchez, let's call the whole thing off.
We've got a comment here from Scott who says, we don't want Sanchez at United, we want Griezmann.
Griezmann, I'm not so sure if he would succeed at United.
There's a lot of talk about him potentially going to Barcelona.
Yes, and he would
the last few months it's really been a big hype train of Griezmann to Barcelona. Yeah,
he would be much better suited to Barcelona. I know I don't want to come across as somebody who thinks the Premier League is the be all and end all, but I would struggle to see Griezmann deal with the physicality in the Premier League. Yeah, he's a very slight boy. He's a small man, and I don't think he would be equipped to face every week, defenders, your Ben Mees, your Virgil van Dijks, big guys who want to mess him around. Plus, I don't think he doesn't scream Mourinho to me either, Griezmann.
Yeah.
Mourinho's always liked a big guy up front. He's like a Drogba. He's like an Ibrahimovic. He's like he didn't really like Higuain, but he played him when he was at Real Madrid. But he likes a big man up front. And if Griezmann comes in and he plays through the centre, I struggle to see how he's going to be a focal point of the Man United team. He'd be a much better fit for Barcelona.
Yeah. What about Aguero? Is he another person you don't really see fit in Mourinho's system? If Aguero suddenly becomes available in the summer, is that someone you could see launched into the Man United team?
So we're looking at sort of revenge for Tevez.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, revenge for Tevez. Well, we wouldn't have to move house.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe he would have to move house. Maybe he's surrounded by Man City players in his neighbourhood, and they'd all just give him and they all hang around together. It's a bit like the WWE where they pretend they're rivals, but then they're all out for dinner together all the time.
We have a comment here from Temper Rojas who says Sanchez needs to go to PSG or Juve or Man City. He will not do anything if he goes to Man U because Mourinho is a POS, whatever that means. And his
piece of shit, I believe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, I'm not down with the lingo.
Sorry about that. I didn't say that, Jose. I'm just explaining it.
Mourinho is a garbage coach, apparently. Well, I'm not sure about that.
No.
He's got plenty of experience there, but you did say that in terms of a tactical situation, he wouldn't necessarily be suited to that. Well, certainly, maybe Sanchez might be, but
Sanchez would do well under Mourinho for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I do think he would do well.
Okay,
but I think City, the move to City just suits him perfectly.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to call it a wrap there. Thanks to everyone who's joined us today on Facebook. We'll be back on Monday morning with another roundup of whatever's been going on over the weekend in the transfer window. Thanks for joining us.